there is a whole shelf of Southern food that has quietly disappeared. Food your grandmother made without ever writing down a recipe. Food that fed people through the Depression, and food that came straight out of the kitchens of enslaved cooks who built the Southern table with almost nothing. Some of it you have not seen on a table in 30 years. Some of it most people under 40 have never tasted at all. And when a food like this goes, it goes for good. Because you cannot look up a recipe that only ever lived in somebody's hands. These are 20 forgotten Southern foods that nobody makes anymore. Stick around to number 1 because it is the one that is going to take half of you straight back to your grandmother's kitchen, and it is fading faster than any of them. Number 20 is a pie built on a lie, and a good one, mock apple pie. During the Depression, when fresh apples were expensive or just gone, Southern cooks made an apple pie with no apples in it at all, just crackers, sugar, water, and a hit of cream of tartar for tartness. And here's the crazy part, it worked. Baked up in a crust with cinnamon, it fooled people. They swore it was the real thing. It is a monument to Southern make-do, to stretching nothing into something sweet enough to put on the table for company. And it has disappeared for the happiest possible reason, because nobody needs to fake an apple anymore. But there was a time when this pie was a small act of pride, and it deserves to be remembered. Number 19 is a dish that ruled every ladies' luncheon and church supper in the South, and then vanished almost overnight. Tomato aspic. It is a savory tomato gelatin, yes, a jiggly, molded, tomato-flavored gel, usually studded with celery and olives, turned out onto a lettuce leaf with a dollop of mayonnaise. To a lot of younger folks, that sounds like a dare. But there was a time when a well-made aspic was the mark of a serious hostess, the centerpiece of the whole congealed salad era that ran through the mid-century South. It faded when that whole world of molded salads faded. But if your grandmother had a copper mold shaped like a ring in her cabinet, this is very likely what it was for. Number 18 is a pie invented out of pure nothing, vinegar pie. When there was no fruit, no apples, no berries, nothing, a Southern cook could still make dessert because the ingredients were always in the kitchen. Sugar, eggs, flour, butter, and a splash of vinegar for tang. Baked into a custard pie, it comes out sweet and bright and a little tart, tasting far better than a pie made of vinegar has any right to. It is Depression food, hard times food, make-do food at its most resourceful, and it has quietly disappeared for the same reason mock apple pie did, because fruit is now a year-round aisle at the grocery store, and nobody has to conjure a pie out of the pantry anymore. But there is real genius in it. Number 17 is the candy of a Southern Christmas, and it is genuinely hard to make. Divinity. It is a snow-white, cloud-light candy, whipped with egg whites and sugar until it turns fluffy, studded with pecans, and dropped in little peaks to set. When it is right, it melts on your tongue. But it is fussy and temperamental. The old rule is you cannot make divinity on a humid or rainy day because it simply will not set. That difficulty is exactly why it is disappearing. It was a skill passed from grandmother to grandchild, made once a year at the holidays by someone who knew the feel of it. As those hands are lost, the candy goes with them, because it is the kind of thing you cannot really learn from a recipe card. Number 16 is the purest expression of Southern thrift there is, watermelon rind pickles. After the family ate the sweet red middle of the watermelon, a Southern cook did not throw the rind away. She peeled it, cut it up, and pickled it, sweet and spiced with cinnamon and clove, and put it up in jars for the winter. And it is genuinely good, crisp, sweet sour, a little exotic. It comes from a time and a mindset where wasting any part of anything was close to a sin. It is disappearing now for a simple reason. Almost nobody puts up preserves at home anymore. The jars, the canning, the whole ritual of putting up the summer, that has faded, and this humble little pickle has faded right along with it. Number 15 is the oldest dessert on this entire list, syllabub. This one goes all the way back to colonial times, a frothy, airy dessert drink made by whipping cream together with wine or brandy, sugar, and a little citrus until it is light as a cloud, and serving it in a glass. You almost drink it and eat it at the same time. It was a holiday and special occasion treat in the early South, elegant and old world. And it is about as forgotten as a food can get. Most people have never even heard the word, but for a couple hundred years, a glass of syllabub was how the South celebrated, and it is worth knowing it was ever there. Number 14 is a squash most of the country has never laid eyes on, the cushaw. It is a big, curved, green and white striped crookneck squash, and in the old Southern kitchen, it did everything a pumpkin does, only better. Cooked down into cushaw pie or cushaw butter, sweeter and silkier and less watery than pumpkin. Families grew it in the garden every year, and it fed them all fall and winter. It got pushed off the table by the grocery store pumpkin and the can of pumpkin filling, easier everywhere and all the same. But the cushaw is still out there in heirloom seed catalogs and a few old gardens, and the people who grew up on cushaw pie will tell you it beats pumpkin every single time. Number 13 is a fixture of a place that barely exists anymore, the country store, hoop cheese. It was a big wheel of mild, firm cheese with no rind, kept right on the counter. And when you wanted some, the man behind the counter cut it to order with a wire, weighed it, and wrapped it in paper. A hunk of hoop cheese, some crackers, maybe a cold drink, that was lunch, standing right there in the store. And it disappeared with the store itself. As the little country groceries closed and the supermarkets and the shrink-wrapped cheese took over, the hoop cheese wheel on the counter, cut with a wire, went with them, a small daily ritual that most people did not even notice was gone until it already was. Number 12 is not for the squeamish, but it is honest food. Souse, also called hog's head cheese. On hog killing day, when a family used every single part of the animal because they had to, the odds and ends, the meat from the head, the feet, the trimmings, got simmered down, seasoned hard with vinegar and pepper, and set into a jellied loaf you slice cold. It is tangy, it is savory, it is deeply old-fashioned, and it comes from a world where nothing, absolutely nothing, went to waste, because waste was not something a family could afford. It is disappearing right along with home hog killing and home butchering, which almost nobody does anymore. But for generations, souse was the taste of a family, making the very most of what they had. Number 11 is a green you had better cook exactly right, because the plant is actually poisonous. Poke salad. In the lean early spring before the garden came in, Southerners went out and foraged the young leaves of the pokeweed plant. And here is the catch. Pokeweed is toxic raw. To eat it safely, you have to boil it, pour off the water, boil it again, sometimes a third time, until the poison is gone, and then fry it up, often with a little bacon grease and egg. It was survival food, wild and free, from a time when spring was hungry. It is fading now because nobody has to take the risk anymore. But it is so woven into Southern memory that there is a famous song about it, and a whole generation still remembers going out to pick it. Number 10 is the taste of a Southern fall, gathered off the ground. Persimmon pudding. Wild persimmons are small, and you cannot pick them early. Bite an unripe one, and it will turn your whole mouth inside out. You have to wait until after the first frost, when they go soft and drop, and then you gather them off the ground, work the pulp out, and bake it into a dark, dense spice pudding, somewhere between a pudding and a cake. It is rich and it tastes like nothing else. And it is disappearing because it takes real knowledge, knowing which trees, knowing exactly when, knowing to wait for the frost. That knowledge lived in the people who grew up gathering them, and as they go, the wild persimmon pudding goes quiet with them. Number 9 is the gentle old cousin of eggnog and the taste of Christmas in a lot of southern houses, boiled custard. It is a thin, pourable vanilla custard, eggs, milk, sugar, cooked low and slow and stirred until it just coats the spoon, and you ladle it into a cup and drink it, warm or cold during the holidays. It is softer and simpler than eggnog, no liquor required, though some folks added a little. For generations, it was the special drink that meant Christmas had arrived. And it is nearly gone now, because it is finicky to make from scratch. Cook it a minute too long and it curdles, and the cartons in the store took the place of the pot on the stove. But a real cup of homemade boiled custard is a memory a lot of people did not know they still had. Number 8 is a Sunday morning miracle out of the mountains, chocolate gravy. And yes, chocolate gravy. In the southern Appalachian Mountains, families took the same pantry staples they used for regular gravy, a little flour, sugar, cocoa, and milk, and cooked up a rich, warm, sweet chocolate sauce, then poured it right over hot, split buttered biscuits. It is somewhere between a gravy and a warm pudding, and to the kids who grew up on it, it was the best breakfast in the world. It was born of thrift, of making something special out of almost nothing, and it stayed a mountain and southern secret. Where it survives, it is fiercely loved, but most of the country has never heard of it, and that is a genuine tragedy, because chocolate gravy over biscuits is worth driving for. Number 7 is a hard times breakfast that tastes like exactly where it came from. Red-eye gravy. You fry a slice of salty country ham in a hot skillet, and then, this is the whole trick, you pour black coffee right into the pan to lift up all the browned bits and let it cook down into a thin, sharp, salty gravy. You pour that over the ham and over your grits, and you sop it with a biscuit. It is bitter and salty and bracing, a working person's breakfast built to get you out the door and into a long day of labor. Some say the name comes from the dark eye that forms in the middle of the gravy. It is fading with the country ham tradition itself, but for a long time, this was how the rural South started the morning. Number 6 is a thin, crisp little cookie that is a direct, edible link back to Africa. Benny wafers. In Charleston and the Low Country, Benny is the old word for sesame, an heirloom sesame seed that was carried across the ocean through the transatlantic slave trade and planted by the Gullah Geechee people, the descendants of enslaved West Africans on the Carolina Sea Islands. They grew bene for luck and for flavor and toasted the little seeds into thin, nutty, crackly wafers. So when you eat one, you are tasting a seed that a people brought with them, held onto, and kept alive through everything. That history is exactly why this one matters, and why it is worth making sure the bene wafer never disappears. Number 5 is the dish that meant it was finally Christmas, ambrosia. The old real version was simple and a little holy. Fresh orange segments and hand-grated fresh coconut, layered in a bowl, maybe with a little of the juice, and nothing else. The name means food of the gods, and for a southern family in the middle of winter, a bowl of bright citrus and sweet coconut really did feel like something heavenly. Over the years, it picked up marshmallows and canned fruit and whipped topping and became a punchline. But the original oranges and fresh coconut made by hand is genuinely wonderful and genuinely disappearing, because almost nobody sits down and grates a whole coconut anymore. It was worth the work. That was the point. Number 4 is a curry, a real curry, hiding in the Southern cookbook, and it came in through a Georgia port. Country Captain. It is chicken braised down with tomatoes, onions, curry, raisins, and almonds, served over rice, and it tastes far more exotic than anything you expect from Southern home cooking. The story is that it arrived through the port of Savannah on the Anglo-Indian spice trade, a sea captain's dish from the days of the British Raj, adopted and made Southern. And it earned some famous fans. Both Franklin Roosevelt and General George Patton are said to have loved it. And yet almost nobody cooks it now. It is one of the most surprising, most delicious things the Old South put on a plate. Proof that this food was never as simple or as closed off as people assume. Number 3 is the part of the meal they used to fight over, and I mean that literally, pot liquor. When you slow cook a pot of greens with a piece of smoked pork, the dark, silky broth left at the bottom, full of vitamins and all the flavor of the greens and the meat, is the pot liquor. It is of African origin, and for generations it fed the poorest people across the whole South, sopped up with a piece of cornbread. And it mattered enough to spark a real feud. Back in 1931, the editor of the Atlanta Constitution and the governor of Louisiana, Huey Long, carried on a very public argument over the proper way to eat it. Whether you crumble your cornbread into the pot liquor and eat it with a spoon, or dunk your cornbread in by hand. Huey Long took it so seriously that he later had his pot liquor recipe read into the congressional record. The broth most people pour down the drain today, they treated as the best part of the meal. Number 2 takes real work, and it turned survival into a celebration. Chitterlings, chitlins. These are hog intestines, and there is no way around what that means. They have to be cleaned by hand for hours and then simmered long and slow until they are tender. It is labor, and it has a powerful smell, and it is not for everyone. But chitlins are soul food at its deepest, a whole hog tradition from a time when a family used every part of the animal because they could not afford not to. And they took the very humblest part and made it a dish for hog killing time and the holidays, a dish the whole family gathered around. That is the genius of so much Southern food, turning what you were given into something worth celebrating. And with all that labor and a younger generation that never learned it, the chitlin is one of the fastest fading dishes in the entire South. And number 1 is the simplest thing on this whole list, and the one that will hit the hardest. Tea cakes. Not a cake, not quite a cookie, a soft, plain, lightly sweet little round, somewhere in between, faintly of vanilla and nutmeg. There was never a written recipe. Your grandmother made them by feel, a little of this, a handful of that, until the dough looked right and she knew it in her hands. And the roots of the tea cake run deep and true. They trace back to the kitchens of enslaved African American cooks who, kept from the fine pastries they baked for the big house, made these simpler cakes for their own children out of what little they had, molasses and sugar and whatever was on the shelf. After the Civil War, as families left the South, they carried the tea cake with them across the whole country, one of the few sweet things that was truly theirs. A tea cake is memory itself, a warm kitchen, a grandmother's hands, a recipe passed only by standing there and watching. And it is quietly disappearing for the truest reason of all. You cannot Google a recipe that was never once written down. None of these were fancy. They were made by people getting by, and by the cooks who built the Southern table out of almost nothing and made it delicious anyway. And when a food like this slips away, it takes a little piece of that memory with it. A grandmother, a country store, a hog-killing morning, a Christmas bowl of oranges and coconut. So here is what I would ask you to do. Make one of these. And if there is somebody in your family who still remembers how, ask them and write it down before you can't. Now tell me in the comments, which of these did your family make and which one did I leave off? Put the dish and put your state, because I want to see how many of them are still alive out there. There are a lot more than 20 of these. So if you want a part 2, say the word and tell me the one I have to include. If you like your food with a story attached, subscribe and put some South in your mouth.